Hello, welcome to He's Hot, but Something Is Off with me, just Joey T. I don't know if you can hear the dog whining. Come here, Louie. If you want to see the dog, watch this. Listen to this week's podcast, or watch it more accurately on my YouTube channel, Just Joey T, or on Spotify. The video version is on both of those platforms. Come here, Louie. I'm gonna have to pick him up. Hold on. Okay, say hi, Louie. Say hi. He's only semi-cooperating because I've got some doggy treats with me here. Otherwise, he doesn't listen to me. I'm invisible if I don't have any food nearby, which I'm actually fine. I'm fine for him to just chill out on the couch or on his bed and not do anything. Say hi, Louie. Say hi. Ruff, ruff, ruff. Say hi. Don't lick the mic. Okay, I'm going to put him down. He's not that comfortable with me holding him up. It's not my dog. I am dog sitting. I have a couple of friends here in LA, and once in a while, I dog sit for them. And it's kind of nice for me. I do like dogs. I don't think I should have a dog. I went into this some number of episodes ago, months ago, and I talked about how I very nearly almost got a dog early on in the not early in the pandemic, maybe in like 2022. I almost got a dog, and I'm very thankful now that I didn't, because dogs are a lot of work. They're completely dependent on you, and I don't want that. But it's nice. Once in a while, like 2 or 3 times a year, I'll dog sit for them. I'm like the third person on their dog sitter list, which is great. I don't want to be first or even second choice. Just 2 or 3 times a year for like a few days at a time, I have a dog to play with, and I can feed him as many treats like I got right here. He will hear any kind of plastic wrapper. If he hears that noise, he knows to come running, even if it's like not food related. So he just hears like that noise, and then he knows to come. But anyways, he's with me for how many nights? He's with me for 6 nights this time. And last night, Sunday night, I'm recording this on a Monday morning. Last night, Sunday night, was his last night with me. His daddies should be coming. I'm going to feed him a snack right here. His daddies should be coming to pick him up tonight. His daddies are at EDC, and I'm not at EDC. I sold my bracelet. But obviously, I take him on walks every day. I take him out at least 3 times a day. And 2 of those, the early morning one and then the one at night, tend to be like the longer walk. So it's morning. I just took him for his first walk of the day. It was a longer one, like 20-something minutes. We went around the block, and usually I just bring him up and down my street on like either side of the road. And that's about like a 15 to 20 minute walk. He stops and sniffs and everything. So that's why it takes so long to go like 1 block's distance. But today, for whatever reason, I just went a block, like a street over, where I don't usually go. I never walk down that street. I've taken him down that street once before, but the thing I have with dog owners are the dog owners that don't put their dogs on a leash in public. So usually I don't run into those people when I walk Louie around. Louie is his name. But because I've had him for 6 days now, today being the last day, I've taken him for so many walks, I was bound to run into some people who don't put their dogs on a leash. Why the fuck do people not put their dogs on a leash in public where there are like other people and other dogs? So the first one was 2 days ago. There's like a little park, not a dog-specific park, just a tiny little park, like a little community park, close to my place. And I don't usually take him to the park because I don't like, just almost specifically because I don't like kids, and kids go to that park. And people that tend to not bring a leash, not to keep the dogs on a leash, they also tend to go to the park. So I try to steer away from it. But it was a nice morning. I went into the park. I found that there's actually like a little nice like water fountain, water feature thing that was kind of cool. But as we were leaving the park, there's this like dog that came in that was not on a leash and came up to my dog. And he wasn't like angry or super worked up, but he was very excited. Let's put it that way. Barking at my dog, all that kind of stuff. And you with dogs, honestly, sometimes you just don't know how they're going to react. Maybe your dog is fine, but your dog might run into another dog where just the chemistry isn't there, and they just go at it. You just really don't know. Your dog might be okay, but in the presence of another dog that you don't know how that relationship is gonna go, it could not end well. And I believe it's the law here to always have your dog on a leash when you're out in public. I'm pretty sure that's the case. So this dog went up to my dog, barked, whatever. My dog's always on a leash, obviously, and I keep the leash real short when other people or other dogs are nearby. Because first of all, it's not my dog, and I'm not the most familiar with how he's gonna react. And second, it takes two to tango. So I might be very confident of how my dog may or may not behave himself, but in the presence of another dog that might be the aggressor and agitator, I don't know. So for the safety of everyone, just common sense for dogs to be on a leash. But this dog just went up to my dog, barked. I kept my dog on a real short leash, pulled him back. And then this unleashed dog went up to some other family's dog and was just bark. I just straight up don't I'm one of those people where if you're doing something that's just intentionally not good, yeah, you're automatically on my shit list. So whoever that owner is, automatically on my shit list. People who don't clean them out themselves at the gym, leaves weights everywhere. I don't need to know who you are. You're automatically on my shit list. That's just how it is. Doing things intentionally that you shouldn't be doing. Sometimes you see someone doing something and it's unintentional, right? But if you're so unaware that you're in a public space, people who don't put their dogs on a leash, clearly you're doing this. How can you unintentionally not have your dog on a leash? There's no unintentional. You intended to not put your dog on a leash. And that was not a leash-free park because there was a very clear sign in that park that says your dog needs to be on a leash and to clean it out for your dog. I very specifically remember seeing that sign before I ran into this dog that was on a leash. And just now on this walk that I took Louie on, we went over to this one other street over. I don't like socializing with people, but when you're walking a dog, sometimes people will come up to your dog and do all that. But anyways, there's this nice little lady with a dog. She was walking, kind of coming our direction on the sidewalk. She was very nice, and she's like, oh, my dog loves small little dogs, and which was fine. She was very polite. The dog was very polite. My dog was fine. Kept him on a short leash, obviously. And then just a few seconds later, out from the side, kind of slightly from behind me, out of my peripheral vision, this dog comes up that's not on a leash and just crosses the street. It's like a little residential street, right? Because how I noticed was this woman that I was I wasn't talking to her, but the dogs were just interacting. This woman says, "Oh, thank goodness there wasn't a car." And I look to my left where the road is, and then this other dog, not on a leash, comes strolling up to our two dogs. And I'm the woman didn't sound panicked. She was thank. She wasn't it was just a very casual comment. It wasn't even a comment. It was she was very cheery about it, actually. And then I looked over and there's a guy that's I don't know, 20, 30 yards behind, not even close to crossing the road. And then the woman starts talking to that guy, they know each other. And I was okay, this is my cue to leave. So I just leave. And then the woman, as I walk away, the woman repeats, it's good that wasn't, she wasn't saying it in a sarcastic or any sort of way. It was just talking to her friend. It was very normal, casual. No tone of concern in her voice. And she says again, thank goodness there wasn't any cars passing by. But this dog just literally just crossed the street, and dogs don't know how to look for cars. Okay. And as I was walking away still, the people were still in earshot as I was walking away. And the guy whose unleashed dog's owner it was, he was oh yeah, I looked blah, blah, blah. He could not have looked from that far behind, honestly, if there was a car that's go by. I just don't get people that, that dog could have, if there was a car and it was an EV car, a quieter car or something, if your dog isn't on a leash and someone runs into someone driving, crashes into your dog, but your dog just bolted out of the sidewalk, in between cars, completely blind out of nowhere into the path of whichever car is moving down the street, I feel really sorry for the driver, because even the driver's going like very slowly, if a dog just darts up between parked cars across the street in this narrow residential road, it's the dog owner's fault 100%, 1,000,000%. You should never be on your dog off a leash in an area like that. So I just don't get people in public spaces where there are cars, there are other like people, there could be there could be kids running around, there are other dogs, to not have their dogs on a leash. I just don't get it. Take your dog to a like dog park that is designated with like a fence off leash free area. Have a backyard. Like I just don't. Can one of you explain to me why you let your dogs? And if any of you like, by the way, if any of you just do this same thing, I don't know. You're probably on my shit list. But can someone help me understand people that intentionally just not have their dogs on a leash in just like an urban city setting, where there are cars driving by, where there are other dogs, where there could be other kids, there could be like, I don't know. It's just dangerous. Like this dog could have been easily hit. There happened to be no cars, but like, honestly, I saw where the dog was when it was crossing the road, when it was like 2 feet away from my dog and me, and where the owner was like 20 yards behind. If there was a car passing by and you're 20 yards behind your dog, you're nowhere near close enough to like get your dogs out of harm's way. I would feel sorry for the dog. I would feel really sorry if some car was driving down and like they hit the dog, because it is not the car's fault. It's not the driver's fault if this dog just like bolts across the street from between parked cars out of nowhere. Like if your car happens to be close to where the dog is, where it bolts out blind out of nowhere, you have like not a great chance of stopping your car, no matter like how much attention you're paying to the road, no matter how slowly you're going. Like it's just not reasonable. The physics just doesn't work that way. If a car just bolts out in front of you, if a dog just bolts out in front of your car, sorry. So it's just like stuff like that gets me worked up. People that are especially intentionally not considerate of others in like a public space where there are like other people, If you're like out in the countryside, and your nearest neighbor is like a mile away or something, that's different. If you're in like hiking in the middle of a forest or something, and that's different. This is like in the middle of West Hollywood. This is like in the middle of in the middle of an urban area. So I just don't think it's acceptable at all. I can't think of in my head any good excuse. So if some of you can think of any good excuse that to let your dog intentionally not be on a leash in a dense urban area with cars and cyclists and other dogs and other people and like kids running around a park, I would love to hear your comment, because I'm not so, I want, maybe there's a good reason. I'm keeping that possibility open, but yeah, convince me otherwise, internet. Anyways, that made me want to like I was coming back from the walk. I'm like, I gotta get on the vlog. I gotta get on the pod and record this feeling that I have right away, because it's just one of those things, just like push my buttons. I just don't like it when people are not considerate of others, especially intentionally in like a public space. Like in a gym, it's like, it's a lot of people moving a lot of weights around, like make some effort to put your weights away. If you're using a piece of equipment and you move it around, like move it back. It's like that. If it's so difficult for you to put the dumbbells back on the rack, they're too heavy for you to begin with, bitch. Just go home. I'm just really not nice for like stuff like that. Just put your weights away. If you can't put your weights away, yeah, you shouldn't be lifting them in the first place. They're too heavy for you. Just get out of here, go home. So anyways, maybe we should talk about something else. This is the kind of stuff that gets me like really worked up. And this is the kind of stuff that makes me not want to be near like a lot of other people in like a regular public street type setting. In a gym, it's like a certain location you go to do something specific, which is to exercise. In like a mall, for example, that's the worst. Me and David was just talking about this. Neither of us like going to a shopping mall, but I was telling him, 99% of people go to a shopping mall to browse, but me and David are the 1% of people that are not doing that. But I recognize that. Like, this is a mall is built, it's a location where you leisurely stroll past shops, and it's designed for you to not look where you're going. But for people like David and I, we can't stand people that don't look where they're going in in a public place, in potentially a crowded public place like a mall. I just need you to look where you're going at all times, because inevitably people will not look where they're going and walk right into me. So I don't like going to malls. I used to go to malls all the time when I was in high school, but in high school it was very different. And back in the days, malls were a lot more popular. But yeah, I don't really like just being in crowded areas. That's just like out on the street in public. We go to parties and stuff, but that's different. That's a party. Like, you're intentionally going to an area where it's very crowded to dance, listen to music. That's a specific activity, and at a specific location, and you're choosing to go there. It's not like on the street where people are not usually choosing to go on the street just to go on the street. People are trying to get to A to B. People are walking their dogs. People are trying to get their packages delivered or whatever, right? Like, just being out in public in general is a little different. But anyways, let's switch the topic a little bit because I need to de-stress on this Monday morning. But that was a good vent session for me. If you made it this far, thank you for letting me vent. Yeah, so I've had a few people lately that were surprised, not surprised-ish, but just recently discovered that I did OnlyFans. And, I feel like I'm a little bit of a veteran doing OnlyFans now. But yeah, I've had a couple people randomly be like, oh, I just found you from, after following you on YouTube, I found out that you do OnlyFans. That's great. I just saw a comment on the YouTube channel. And by the way, I love seeing comments, you guys' comments, in the comment section on YouTube for these episodes. So feel free to comment down there. I do read all of them. I only get like 1 or 2 comments a week, barely, but I do have time to read them all. But someone just said, hey, Joey, just wanted to know if you have professional videos under a different screen name, Kian, because if that is you, then amazing job. Thank you. This is from Jerry something. The rest of the username, it's a blur. A lot of numbers. Yes, that is me. Yeah, so I do OnlyFans. Get used to it. And yeah, I kind of like having this Kian persona, my porn name. I like having this porn name. That was one of the, I don't like naming things, but that was one of the more fun aspects of setting up. That setting up the OnlyFans is I get to have a porn name, like a performer, like a screen name. That part was kind of fun. What other comments do we have down here? M. Johnson, thank you, M. Johnson, for watching. I know you're a longtime subscriber. House in Austin, I'm going to paraphrase. House in Austin has been sale for the last month. Decided 2 years ago to sell it and move to New Mexico, where it is much cheaper. Cool. I don't want to read your whole life story out. It's quite a long, but I do appreciate your comments, and I do read them. You also mentioned about the washer and dryer, having that in suite, and that's very, very important to me as well. Looks like you also had a bit of a change in your job situation. So cool, awesome. Yeah, I'm looking more and more into it. I was going to email the realtor that helped me to find this place, because I like working with him. He was very helpful. Me buying my first place and everything. He's still in the area. I was gonna shoot him an email, be like, "Hey, I'm thinking about selling my place here. Can you help out with that? I want to get an appraisal first, just to see what the market value of the house is." When you go on the various real estate websites, like Zillow or Redfin or whatever, they have these computer algorithm generated estimates. But I went to 3 different ones, and they gave me 3 pretty different ranges, and 3 the low range of the low one and the high range of the high one are like $100,000 apart. That's a wild swing. So I want to get a actual appraisal on the house, just have some idea how much we can realistically list and sell this place for if we were to go list it, because that's going to be a big factor in terms of whether I do this move or not. If the house isn't worth as much as I think it is, I'm not sure it makes mathematical, financial sense to do this move that I want to do. So I just have to have some idea what the numbers would look like. If I sold it, what about all the taxes and fees, anything that I might owe? If I sold the place, obviously the government is always looking to take a cut. And a real estate agent would, know all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but we'll see how that pans out. In some ways, it feels like a big, huge thing to do. And in other way, it seems like whatevs, So it's like really weird. Yeah, there's like these two parts in my head that's like, oh, this is like a big deal to buy one house and sell your old one. There's other part of my head that's like, it's not like life or death. It's not like getting a college degree. It's just buying and selling stuff. So yeah. Every so often, though, I feel like maybe because I've moved around so often in my adult life, I feel like once I'm somewhere for like a little while, I feel like I want to move or change something. I don't know if that's just a consequence of I did have to kind of move every like 1.5 or 2 years for most of my adult life until more recently, because it was always for a job. It was always because a new job offer came up, or I wanted to like move to a different office, or the job promotion was only in this other office across the country. It was always for like a job, almost always for a job related reason every time that I moved in my adult life since I moved out of my parents' house, with the exception of when I moved from Silicon Valley up to San Francisco proper. That was not job related. It was actually the other way around. Me and my good buddy, at the time, we were roommates, and we're still good friends. He lives in Austin now, but we were roommates at the time down in Silicon Valley, and we both started to kind of like meet more like gays that were in the Bay Area, but specifically that lived up in San Francisco. And we were both pretty new to the area, especially him. And because of those things, we wanted to move up in San Francisco and live like the San Francisco, like that gay lifestyle up there. So we both somehow convinced our company to transfer us up to 2 offices that were close to San Francisco. I got transferred, luckily, into the San Francisco office, like right in San Francisco, and he got transferred to the San Bruno office. That's actually near SFO Airport, so close-ish to the whatever. And there were shuttles and stuff that he could have taken, and he still had his car back then that he could drive. So we were able to like get the company to transfer us. Only for the reason that we wanted to live in San Francisco. So we kind of sort of just basically said, are there any openings that we can move into in the San Francisco office or one of the offices near San Francisco? Because we're moving up there. Somehow it worked out that we were both able to basically move offices at the same time that we wanted to actually move up there, and got an apartment up there. And that was a really great time in my life, actually. I had a lot of great years up in San Francisco. Even though I don't think it's the right place for me now, or going forward probably. But yeah, that was one time where I moved and it wasn't for work. It was just, for personal reasons. But then the next move after that, I moved down to LA. It was the first time I lived in LA, and I was for a job, and I left the previous company, and I had to move to LA to get that new job, to move up the ladder. Was here for a little over a year. Then I moved back to San Francisco for another company to get another bigger, newer, better job. And then after that, the pandemic hit, and then I decided to move back to LA, and that's where I bought my first place, which is the place I am sitting in right now. So yeah, I remember in the last episode, I said, the only thing that's certain in life is death and taxes. And that's pretty much true. When I was growing up, it was so ingrained in my head that like, implicitly, I guess, but it was just my expectations growing up from everything I knew when I was a kid, that like people don't move around all the time. People don't change careers, but I just wasn't ever exposed to like those things, but my parents and my upbringing was very like, just have a single job. You just have a career, you have a job, you had a paycheck, you lived in a house, and that's it. Very simplistic. And that's not really how the world works outside of the confines of my family. But especially nowadays with everything being so digital and online, and after pandemic, especially, and like the economy that I live in now, it's so much different than like when I was growing up. Honestly, things have really changed. That, yeah, a part of me still was warming up to like, hey, like if you take one job, it doesn't work out, you can just take another job. There's like a million companies you could work for, or more recently, like you could also be self-employed or start your own companies, and that's also a totally valid thing. When I was growing up, I didn't know that. I mean, I knew like companies were started by people, right? Every company had to start somewhere, but I never ever imagined, it was never in my wildest dreams that like, oh, I would start my own company. I just always thought you work for a big company, you just had a job and you just kept it. So those ways of thinking are still ingrained in me in some way. But yeah, so I think that's a part of me that's like, oh, buying a house and selling your current one is such a big deal. I think that's kind of sort of from my upbringing. Whereas, the more modern me, the more independent me, the today me, it's more like nothing's permanent. When I moved to this place, I didn't know how long I was going to keep it or whatever. I thought it would be a good financial move. And it turned out that it was. I would do it again. If I wind the clock back to 2020, would I buy this place again? Yes, I would. I wouldn't change that. But yeah, I'm pretty excited to move. I think I kind of like a change of scenery every so often. Either that's just a genuine desire to change the scenery, or just because I've been so used to moving around so often in my adult life. I don't know. But I also am comforted and secured in the fact that if I move to Vegas and I don't like it, I'll sell that house and buy another one, and it'll be fine. So it's not as big of a deal as the old me or my upbringing would want to have me think. So yeah, I'm kind of excited. I want to have my own house where I don't share walls, have my own garage. It's like my dream to have my own garage. And like I was like gagging over last time, it's my dream to have my own in-suite laundry. Yeah, I just want to have my own house. And I can confidently say it's not because society has impressed upon me that having a house is a mark of success. And I talked about this on a couple episodes a long time ago, where society deems you successful if you make your own money and you're independent and you pay your own bills and you buy a house and you have a car, and if you have a nice car, you have a nice house, then you're even more successful, blah, blah, blah. I want a garage because I don't want to run into my neighbors when I come in. I don't want to have to share any of that infrastructure. Like it was a couple of days ago where I don't know, I saw there was a leak in the garage. In the garage above it are like the first floor apartments, and you can see the pipes. And then there was like some pipe that was leaking, and it was like for the next car over to mine. It's like, I don't want my neighbor's plumbing potentially dripping shit on my car. There was a pipe that burst where my parking spot was. It didn't really get my car damaged or dirty or anything, but like they did have to like dig up the floor, part of the floor under my parking spot in the garage, and fix the pipes and do all that. I don't want to have to fucking deal with that shit. And a few days ago, the garage door gate, they said there was something wrong with it and they had to get someone to fix it. It's like, I don't want to have to deal with that communal stuff anymore. Like I just don't want that. It's not because I feel like I'm less successful in the eyes of society because I live in an apartment. No, because I don't want shit like that I don't want neighbors' pipes dripping and bursting, feces onto my car. I don't want to have to share a laundry room with other people where like sometimes you go into the laundry room and like all the washers are taken. I have to like haul all my, laundry back up to, I put it in the car sometimes, but the car's right there. Or I have to haul the laundry all the way back. You know, sometimes I can't do laundry when I want to do laundry. And maybe to some people it's a luxury, but to me it's like fucking annoying when I can't do it. So I just don't want to do that anymore. In my sink, in my master bathroom, there's 2 basins. One of the basins, I was brushing my teeth yesterday, and I looked down, and it suddenly flooded with foam because someone upstairs, like there's a maid, there's like a cleaning person that they hire upstairs, and she poured a bunch of cleaning shit, soap or whatever, down the drain. And the pipes in this building are not the newest. It's built in the 60s. The pipes, some of the pipes are from the 60s. And having lived here a few years, I know why, and I know that's the case. And sometimes stuff backs up. I don't want my neighbor's shit backing up into my bathroom. These are the reasons why I want my own house and I don't want an apartment anymore. It's not because of society's pressures that deems me more or less worthy. It's shit in the sewer. Okay, it's shit dripping in the... That's why I don't want to share walls. I don't want to share anything with anyone. I want my own house. I want my own garage where I can plug in my electric car and charge it and not have to like drive 3 miles away to a charger that may or may not be occupied, and I may or may not have to wait a half hour to plug in, and then maybe find out the charger's broken. I just want to plug my car in at home. I want my plumbing to be just my plumbing. That's why I want my own house. Wow, I got real angry on this podcast. I was going to change the topic to be something that's a little less angry, but yeah, well, there you go. You get what you get. There are happier episodes of the podcast that have been uploaded in weeks past. So feel free to go check out one of those or subscribe and stay tuned for the next one, which hopefully won't be as angry. But until next time, bye.